You turn it just a little bit
This way or this way?
towards us so that it sees everything.
Okay, the time is 7:04. You'd stand for the invocation and pledge allegiance. Our Father in heaven, we're thankful to be here tonight. We're thankful for the blessings of community and the ability to work together and to see things accomplished in this community. Help us that we may keep our minds and our hearts active for the community, and that we may be able to do the things that we feel would be the best things. Help us that we may be able to help our businesses grow, and that we may get new businesses in. And Father, we ask for safety as we travel. We ask for a special blessing for the city workers and public works, that they may be safe, and that all of us may work together. And we pray for this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're not going to have any movies in the park for February and March. It's just too cold. And we have a chamber luncheon coming up on February 15th. As members of the EDC, y'all can come to the chamber luncheon. It's 10 o'clock, it's 11:45 on that date, and it's $10 a plate. Okay. Sorry, I missed the roll call. Let's go ahead and do that.
Allison Zerbeck,
James Champ.
Rhett Byers.
Pam Reed.
Kathy O'Neill.
Larry Byers.
Any other announcements? Awesome.
I just wanted to let everybody know again that the website is still up. It's www.westtawakoniedc.com. And so far, in the short time that it's been up, we've had about almost 1,000 views. So we are getting traffic,
Very good.
and that's without
Glad to hear that.
advertising.
Very good. Glad to hear that. Any other announcements? Okay. Do we have any citizen input related to the agenda? No? Okay. Then we'll go on to our consent agenda, approval of minutes from November and December, the bank statement, profit and loss, and the vendor report. Let's look over those real quick.
I had a question about the bank statements. What is the service dates for the check that was written for? Do we know it?
Let me get to it. That one was actually for, I think the last time they mowed was actually in late October. We had asked them to come out.
So is that each time?
That's each time.
And then also on the profit and loss statements, what are we doing about the accounts that are not being paid?
Well, first of all, Fish and Nutrition, we're turning over to the credit bureau. And the other one is not starting to pay until February.
Until February?
Mhm.
Thank you, ma'am.
The fishing nutrition is not gonna pay, right?
They haven't. And like the lawyer said, you're going to get a few of these that you just cut your losses sometimes with, because they, it's those kind of things. And I talked to other EDC developers, and they say that they have some of the same problems sometimes with new businesses. But if you don't support new businesses, then you don't get new businesses. And so we have to try to do what we can.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda A through D.
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving right on. I just wanted to take a few minutes and discuss the proper rules of order, specifically when the floor is open to discussion. Everyone should get a chance to say something. And whenever we start this, we do pretty good here about everybody and, voicing their opinions. But when we do that, we need to remember not to interrupt the other one, to take one turn until everyone's spoken, and then after everyone's spoken, you can get a second turn at it. I've included the rules of order in your packet. The Robert's Rules of Order looks sort of like this. If y'all could read over and just refresh your minds on it, that would help a lot. And we're going to try to stick with that a little bit closer than we had. Yes, Allison?
Sorry, I'm gonna be talking a lot tonight, but I did have, I just wanted to say that, it helps a lot if we can get the packets out early, like I was able to kind of get mine. That way we can go over it. And if we have any questions, we can write them down and be prepared for the meeting ahead of time.
Yeah.
That'll help facilitate
And
the meetings as well.
I always have them ready, the packets ready on the Thursday before our meeting. So if anybody wants to call me, I can bring you your packet, or you can come by the house and get your packet, and we can start doing that too. We'll get our packets a little bit earlier. So that would help going through things too. Okay, any questions about that or any discussion about that? Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention is that everything that's on our agenda, after we get through with the discussion on it, we have to either make a motion for it to go through, for it not to go through, or for it to be tabled. And if it's tabled, we need to decide whether we're tabling it indefinitely. We're not going to come back to it, unless something comes up, or we want to table it for a specific date so that we can come back and try to go back over it. Any questions on that? Any thoughts? Okay. All right. After that, we are going to hear from the West Tawakoni Fire Department and their request. They have a nice little packet here for us.
I think everybody knows me. I'm Leon Myers. I'm the public liaison for the Tawakoni Volunteer Fire Department. And we're here tonight. I have the chief with me. We're here tonight to request assistance for the cost of new radios. Hunt County will soon be switching their radios to communication systems over to the new system. All the radios will become obsolete with this new system. Our county has approved the change over and has contracted with L3 Harris. The infrastructure has already been put in place. There are 7 towers around Hunt County. The next phase of the program is to retrofit the Hunt County Sheriff units, the Hunt County Constable units, and the Hunt County schools with new radios. If you'll notice, I didn't mention the Hunt County Volunteer Fire Departments. And that's right, because the fire departments were not included in the funding for the radios needed to connect to the new communication network. Currently, when you call 911 for an emergency, Hunt County Sheriff Office picks up and 911 call and asks, what is your emergency? If you need fire or medical help, the call is rerouted to an AMR dispatch center in Arlington, Texas. It is then sent out to local fire departments over the old, outdated system. This takes time. Time equals lives and property damage. Hunt County is one of only a handful of counties left in Texas that the Sheriff's Department does not dispatch the fire department. The goal here is to have this changed now that Hunt County will be an updated system, hopefully late 2024 or first of 2025. Since Hunt County fire departments are not included in the funding for the radios that are needed to connect to the new network, we are looking for grants and donations to help cover the cost. Tawakoni Fire Department's total cost for handhelds and mobile radios to replace what we've got is $122,000. We are requesting from the West Tawakoni EDC $20,000 in assistance. New radios on the new communication system are necessary for a faster and more accurate response when you call 911. Our radios and current way of being dispatched are outdated and have been for quite some time. As you can see on this slide here, I don't know if you can see that invoice or not, but the cost for a handheld radio is $4,655.75. The cost for a mobile radio, which goes in the trucks, is $6,149. And I believe that includes the installation. What will the fire department do with the $20,000 from the West Tawakoni EDC? We'll purchase 2 handheld units and 2 mobile units, including the installation. The plan is to put 1 in Engine 84 and 1 in the Medical Squad 80. These 2 units are the first ones out on every call. The handhelds will be shared with whoever is on duty. Why the firefighters are so valuable to the community? Firefighters are important members of the community because they are trained to work with all members of the community. Firefighters handle residential, commercial structure fires and wildfires. Firefighters provide medical assistance as a BLS, basic life-saving department, and an EMT, which is emergency medical technicians. Commercial or residential. Firefighters assist at the scene of a traffic accident, avoiding downtime for businesses and residents. Firefighters deal with hazardous materials by contacting an outside source and securing the scene. Firefighters can enforce fire code and preventative measures in commercial buildings. Firefighters inspire the next generation and young children at the fun open days and events to bring the community out, which hopefully will encourage them to visit local businesses and get involved in the community. Firefighters can give safety talks at schools, businesses, nursing homes, and organizations. Firefighters help animals that are in need. Yes, we get crazy calls, and all sorts of animal problems, and we go. We get toned, we go. Local fire departments are essential to keep insurance costs down for businesses and homeowners. If I were going to open a business here in this town, that's the first thing I'd want to know is all the public safety.
Be surprised at how many calls we get every day from businesses either in town or talking about coming to town, wanting to know what we have, what we provide.
Yes, and it does affect your insurance costs.
Yes.
If we had no fire department at all, insurance you probably couldn't get it. We provide support and work with Chamber of Commerce, which is for business. We have several RV parks in the community which provide medical and fire service. Firefighters create a two-way relationship within the community. Tawakoni Fire also responds to boat rescues, which is essential to our area due to number of visitors and provides a service on behalf of realtors, RV parks, and so on. As you can see on this slide, in last year, we had EMS calls, emergency medical service calls. We had 698. Mobile accidents, 33. Structure fires, 47. Grass and brush fires, 34. Smoke investigation, 49. Fire alarms, 3. Vehicle fires, 7. Boat rescues, we had 34. Public assist, 51. Hazmat, which I like that one, is 0. And the total calls were 956. Now I want you to back up one above that is what we're most proud of, is we missed no calls and we had 0 no responses. There's only a couple of fire departments in this county that could say that. And bravery isn't the absence of fear, but the will to face it head on. And we want to thank you for considering this and letting us speak tonight.
Leo, I just have one question. I don't understand. Why doesn't the city help out with the fire department, or the fire department, in correlation with the city? Because you guys do so much and you are a necessity in the city, but I don't see that correlation. Am I wrong?
We get an appropriation from the city, and that money's
It basically covers insurance.
basically covers our insurance. It's getting to where it doesn't completely do that, and that's all they've budgeted for. So they don't have any money for anything else until the new budget rolls around. And
Okay, I just, because to me, without a fire department, you don't have a city. Without the city, you don't have a fire department. I mean, to me, they're entwined,
They should be more than what they are. And hopefully as the city grows and the fire department grows, that will also grow together. Currently, years past, it just never has been that way.
Right. Thank you.
You have to go like this before we.
Okay, so, as an EDC, one of the things that we have to really look at is how this helps our business. So I was really glad to see in there that you put some statistics in there about helping the businesses. Is there anything else that you can add to that?
You do have 2 additional slides in your packet that kind of show some of the growth out here. We didn't put it in here. We just felt like it was more that you guys probably already knew.
Got a lot of growth.
As you know, Tawakoni Fire has been growing steadily over the last 4 years, especially within the department, within our apparatus, bringing those up to date with newer technology within the department, technology within how we talk and deal with each other on a daily basis. We're trying to move and be prepared for that growth. The radio communication network that is out there right now, it's outdated, 30 years at least. We've got to move past it. The county's finally realized that they're moving past it. They just have not taken the fire departments or local city PDs in with it as well. Our local PD is looking at a grant. We are going to try to do the grant as well. But from what I understand, that business is limited on what they're going to be able to do. So we're going to try to piggyback as well. But
So is my understanding that starting with this new service, that it will be sent out from the police department in town
no,
to you?
no. The hope is that it will all move over to the sheriff's department. Currently, you call 911, it goes to the sheriff's department. If it's medical or fire, it then goes to AMR, I believe over in Arlington, and then they send out the response to us. If it will be fire, the sheriff's department, we're hoping that they take it over and they will tone out at least the fire side. So you'll get faster response for fire when there's a situation with fire, wrecks, situations like that.
So that should improve the response.
That will improve the response dramatically. They've done a lot of studies over the last couple of years. Some of your calls that are getting rerouted back and forth, you're talking 6, 8, 9 minutes in some occasions. Time equals life. Time equals property. So.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. This Tawakoni Volunteer Fire Department, does that include all of these cities? The cities listed here, West Tawakoni and Quinlan, Emery, and Nono?
So city currently, Tawakoni currently has a mutual aid agreement with all the different cities around us.
Okay.
So when a fire comes out, basically to describe a fire, it comes out as what is known as a box alarm. The way Tawakoni has it set up, if you are on this end of town, if we get a structure fire call, Lone Oak and East Tawakoni will come out with us. If it's on the other side of town, Cache and Tawakoni South or Quinlan may come, depending on the size of fire. It would then go up to a second box alarm. We would bring in additional fire departments from each side, and they have the same agreements on their side. Standard box alarm, the other side of us, we get called to it right away. It's a mutual aid agreement that we have.
I've got one more question.
Uh-huh.
So you need 122,000.
Yes.
So you're asking for 20. Where do you plan to get the rest of it anyways?
We're going to try out for the grant,
Okay.
and we're just going to, no matter what happens, we've got to at least do one of each in our main trucks and a handheld so we can communicate effective immediately. We don't expect them to completely swap over till 24, the end of 24, early 25. So if we have to just every couple of months purchase one here or there, if we can't find a grant or the right money for it, it's what we have to do. Y'all are our first stop, to be honest. We're just going to start moving from here. We just had meetings about it this last week. It was just put out. Well, one of the slides they didn't show is the pricing structure. The pricing that they're giving us is actually 45% off, but that is only good throughout the end of the year. So we want to try to get as many of the radios that are needed during that time to save that amount of money.
So this one says you can get 4 units. You have 2 mobile units
Yes.
and 2. That'll cost you 25,000. 4 times 6,000 plus.
We've got a little bit put back to cover the rest. Yeah.
And the handhelds.
And
are
have
less.
a little.
The handhelds are a little less, yes.
I think we can say it is
They're 5,000.
business assistance, right?
With taxes and everything.
This would get us jump started.
Allison?
So why are they not providing funding?
Who is the county?
I mean, the emergency response is a major thing. Why are they
So
giving to schools
The
more?
Fire Association has been in front of Hunt County Commissioners Court many times begging for additional assistance. They just don't. Your county looks at your fire side like your local PD. Like he was saying, most of your fire department should be under your city. So your city tax dollars should be funding it. Some of your cities are able to do that, some aren't.
Is this the only way that you'll be able to communicate with them, like for emergency calls, if we don't switch over?
If we don't
not
switch
have them?
over completely,
Mhm.
we won't be able to talk to Hunt County Sheriff's Department. No.
So we would get no calls out.
Correct. Now, we're not gonna allow that to happen. We will find ways to, like I said, I don't care if we just have to do a couple of them and slowly move our way to that direction. We're not gonna let it happen. And when the Hunt County Commission Court goes back into budget talks in October, we, as the fire association, all the fire departments are hoping to be there to try to convince them to step up and fund part of it.
And then also, my last question would be, if you have to have one in each engine, and then handhelds as well, do you have to, I mean, you're getting into the engine, right?
Correct. So when
So
you're
you wouldn't
in the
be able to-
engine, you don't need it, but when you're out there on a fire, you gotta be able to talk to each other.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but would you still need the engine ones?
You want to have a couple in your apparatuses because those radios are a higher band. You're always going to be able to get out. We're in a lower lying area. Your handhelds are not going to be as efficient as your mobile.
They're not as powerful.
They don't, okay,
Yeah.
It's kind of like the old car phones that were mounted in the car.
right,
They always worked better than the handheld.
that was all.
Other questions?
Thank you. So actually, along the same lines, is there, not that there's a huge difference between the handhelds and the mobiles, but I was kind of thinking like the same as her, is that since we do have such a limited amount that we're going to be starting off with, and from what I heard, and I don't remember what the tech was, we talked about it over a year ago, but shouldn't these things have the power to be clear as a button, even with personals inside the truck? I'm just wondering if you can get more bang for your buck by being more flexible by having all personals, and then just when they're in the truck, they have an external speaker you can plug them into. I haven't seen the tech.
I can tell you what I've already asked for. I've asked to get one handheld here. I want to be able to try it out.
Right.
We are the lowest lying area. We have the worst
I know.
communication in all of Hunt County when it comes to our current radios.
And I'll confirm that. I've been reserve status for quite a while, but we go out quite often, and not being able to hear where you're going. I mean, yeah, we'll pull over and listen. Doesn't happen often, but sometimes you got to pull over and just say, "Okay, guys, where are we really going?" 'Cause nobody knows.
Okay, and one thing with just doing the handhelds, you jump in a truck, it's ready to go.
Mhm.
If you have a handheld that's been sitting in the charger, somebody walked by, they unplugged it.
Mhm.
You go to get the radio, it
Sure
doesn't
enough.
work.
Mhm.
You know, so if you've got it in the truck, you can.
It's
guarantee
always
it.
powered up with the truck.
And it's
There's
just a suggestion to actually get one of each to start to see where your flexibility and the current issues may lie, because for the price of these things, and I should be able to go to China and be able to talk clear as a bell.
I do know that all the surrounding counties are currently on that network as well. So currently, right now, if we go over and assist in Rains County, we can't talk to anybody over there. Right now, we've never been able to. So they currently have it, Van Zant, Rockwall. So when we go do these mutual aids, we'll be on the same frequency with them and be able to talk to them. And that's something we've never been able to do. So
And just out of curiosity, especially since we're starting off with so little amount, or you're starting off with so little amount, I'm just curious from not just a county perspective, but even a state perspective. Are they taking the old system down?
So currently, the old system is ran via Fire Association.
Uh-huh.
We have repeaters throughout the county. I doubt that'll ever come down. There'll probably be a backup.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
I can't speak to that to confirm. It's never been a question that's come up, but that would make the logical sense is to leave it for a backup.
I'm just out of an execution question is, so if you have these personnel ones, and most people, obviously the person on medical covering that shift's gonna have one.
Yep.
Yeah, and one for S84 and S80 just makes total sense. So I'm glad to see that you thought it through and you put it in all the right spots with as little as possible.
So to back up with your last question, it will have to stay in effect because that is still how AMR communicates. So when we get a call to assist the medics, we'll still receive it from them. These radios will receive that frequency. So,
So they're dual band.
yes,
Okay, and what about the functionality of AMR and Active 911? Will they be incorporated into the radios?
AMR will not be. We'll be able to pick up their frequency, but they will not be
So you're
incorporated.
still gonna need PCs and cell phones? That kind of chunk of change, you think they'd just be giving you everything?
$7 million is what the county, and then their last meeting that they had last Tuesday, they approved another 360 for generators for these sites that are set up. It's an expensive, long overdue. And it's still gonna be time before we get on the system with the sheriff's department, but we'll have the communication, be able to communicate with them. When everything's swapped over, we'll be ready to go with everybody else instead of being behind the times like we are now.
Any other discussion?
No, just you were asking about businesses, and I don't think we thought how many times we go to an RV. You know, there's Rustic Oaks, there's Lovely RV, they're all over town, and we support those businesses.
Mhm.
You know, a lot of the EMS calls come from those places.
Places. And that is one of our big businesses in town. Okay. So, any further discussion?
Yeah, just, maybe there's some table to later, because I think maybe it might directly involve with our overall mission statement, right? Because I think a lot of businesses, being new to this board, right? I would think if I was looking to open up anything even small to medium size, I'd be curious to what type of infrastructure is there for support. So if there's not a fire department that's able to handle put down a fire, I mean, gosh, my business insurance and everything else would be pretty drastic. I don't know if it'd be double, but it'd be drastic.
So, do you want to go to this?
I'll just add that it would actually go towards quality of life as well.
It does,
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
we have to have somebody
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
as far as getting it to qualify.
It definitely will fit under the qualifications.
But I would suggest maybe that if there is a motion made, that it could be under, if they are able to get the rest of the funding, like I would hate to say we can give them the funding and then we can't get anything, they can't get anything else.
They get
They
four.
they said they would
Right?
get 4 at
You
least.
could still get 4.
Yeah.
Right, and I think what the chief might also be trying to say is the way he's actually using the 4 will probably cover, maybe 80% of the usage. The rest of it's kind of off on the sides, but
It covers
if you got
my
the person-
emergency
Right.
response,
which
the
is
ones that I have to get out immediately.
Yeah, if you look at the responses on the EMS stuff, and that was by far the highest number on there.
And over time, we'll eventually replace all of them if we have to do it one at a time, once a year or whatever, but the main thing is if there was ever any kind of big natural disaster or anything like that, you don't want 25 firemen running around out here without a radio.
I agree.
It was something else
Because they're
about
gonna be spread out, they're gonna be everywhere trying to help everybody.
It's very true.
And, you get to a house where somebody's really critical, they need a radio. They don't need to be running back to a car trying to find one.
Totally agree with that. So Chair will entertain a motion.
But one last question.
Okay.
Does the insurance cost do we have insurance that will cover the cost of these getting broken in?
we have insurance that covers every bit of it. And I would like to say that no matter what here, I encourage y'all at any time to stop down there. Listen to our radio system right now. My radio's been on the whole time we've been in here. Haven't heard a chirp out of it because it doesn't pick up in this building.
Right.
That's how low tech what we currently have is. I encourage you to stop down there at any time. Just listen to what the radios that we have and how bad the communication is. It's broken. It's hit and miss. 9 times out of 10, you got to pick up the phone and end up calling to make sure you get the right information. So
And all that's wasted, valuable time.
wasted time.
Okay, so the Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Tawakoni Volunteer Fire Department's request for $20,000 to buy the radios.
I second it.
All in favor?
I'll abstain.
You'll abstain, because of her being on the fire department.
Oh.
So,
I guess
I guess we need
I
to do
am
a roll.
reserved.
I guess we need to do a roll call then. Allison, how do you vote?
Can I ask one more question?
Yes, you may.
Okay, I'm sorry. On the quotes that you've given us here,
Yes.
so one shows for 46.55 and the other is for 61.49, or yeah, 61.49.
Those are the cheaper one is the handheld,
Uh-huh.
the more expensive is the mobile. And does it say it on there?
It does say handheld
Okay.
mobile. So this is not for the cost that you're looking to fund with this. This is just,
It's per unit.
Per unit, yes.
okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, so.
Yes. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, I'm yes, she's abstained.
Yes.
Okay. And if you look at our budget, P and L, I've already, there's, where we will take this from is under our 4A and 4B projects. 10 of it will come from there. And then the other will come from, infrastructure development. Okay,
What's 4A, 4B?
those are projects that we assist with in the community projects. Okay, so, I'll get back with you
Yes,
this week and we'll get this taken care of.
Okay.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.
75.
We'll have to do something when we get them in there, at least get y'all to come down there and you'll be amazed at the difference.
We'd like to come down there whenever you get it in and maybe take a picture of all of us with your fire
Yep.
department.
Definitely.
And eventually down the road, I see AMR going to this, but it's just,
I think we can advertise this too, say, to invite other businesses to come in, we can say you're state of the art and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, I think so too. That would be
Good
good for
idea.
advertising.
Yep.
It will have a fire department to that. Okay, so the next thing on the agenda is the Fish for Education, and that is the school system's fishing tournament that they do, the ISD fishing tournament. You have in your packet several things there. Okay, so in the past, we've given $500 each year to them. And so they've asked us for another $500 this year. I do know that we did put down on our budget that we could go as high as, thank you, as high as $1,000 on the fishing tournament if we wanted to. So I'd like some discussion on this.
I would say stick with 500. We can use the other 500 for something else.
I'd say the same thing because the only difference is we just don't get the photo of the logo with the winning team, but it's still on the banner. So it's still getting a picture with.
Yeah, that's for our advertisement.
Yeah.
Any other
I agree.
discussion? You agree?
I think we're all thinking share the love.
Okay. So the chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we do the Quinlan ISD fishing education for bass tournament, $500 sponsored.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I need to put my glasses on. Okay, All right, so one of the other things I wanted to discuss on air tonight was what happens if the EDC went away.
I have a question. Why did that even come up?
Why did that even come up? We had a lot of discussion online from different people asking about how they would love to get rid of the EDC and that they would just take that money and put it on roads. And I need to let everybody know what happens if the EDC goes away. First of all, the EDC was put on here in 2007 that the citizens voted for the EDC to be here. And what it did was it said that they would take a certain percentage of the sales tax and give it to the EDC for economic development and community enrichment for the town. And so that's what's been holding the EDC together. If there would have to be an election held to dissolve the EDC. If the EDC was dissolved, that money would no longer be taken out of sales tax, and the city would not receive any of that money.
Okay,
Again,
repeat that.
the city would not receive any of that money. That if the EDC was taken away, it doesn't mean that money would be given to the city. That's not how it works. The state allows you to take out an extra sales tax for economic development, and it does not allow you to take out that money and put it back into the city budget. So if they voted to do away with the EDC, the city would no longer be eligible to get that money in sales tax for anything for the city. So in other words, by having an EDC, you're allowing the city per se, as the EDC, to get a certain percentage of sales tax. And that sales tax not only comes from citizens, but it also comes from all the tourists that comes in. So it allows us to get a certain amount of money to actually be used in our community that we would not have otherwise. Also, that tax money would stop immediately after that election. It wouldn't go through the rest of the year. It would stop immediately and just be completely lost to the city. What assets that the EDC has would not also be given to the city either. So any money that we have in our checkbook would not roll over to the city either. It would be used for taking care of any resources that the EDC currently has to fulfill our corporation's obligations. So the city would not get any of the money that we currently have either if we dissolve the EDC. Do I have any discussion? Allison?
I'd like to add to that it's really just the sales tax. So if the 1 cent is taken away, the sales tax for the town goes down by that 1 cent. And it's not paid in. So there is no other money, just to make that a little bit more clear. There is no 1 cent to go back to the city. Also, even if it is voted on and it was dissolved, then the funds, like you said, have to pay out the projects that we already have in place. So there would be nothing, like you said, either that would be left for it to go. I know that a lot of people have been very boisterous about wanting to get rid of the EDC, and I can see some of their sides, but I also look at it as there would be no gain from getting rid of the EDC.
Just
There would
loss.
just be no gain. It would only be a loss
Just
to
a
the
loss.
city.
Pure loss.
No matter what they might think that we're doing or not doing, it's something. And without the EDC, again, there's nothing that the city would gain from that.
It's just like the projects that we have done so far, like helping the police department with their cameras, that money would not be there for that. Helping the fire department with their emergency stuff this time, the money would not be there for that. Helping a business to get started or a business to restart like we did Fat Cats, that money would not be there. So whenever you do away with an EDC, you're just shooting yourself in the foot, so to say. You're just taking away from your own community what it needs to grow and to build. So I just wanted to make that clear because there's been a lot of discussion about it.
What's the main dislike, the main topic of discussion? I don't know anything about.
Gossip is that they want the EDC to go away and the money to go back to the city for roads. And people.
That doesn't work that way.
It will not work that
No.
way.
Which I have 2 points on.
Yes,
The first one is just, that's a philosophy of governance.
yes,
I believe in decentralized power.
yes.
And especially given what I've seen in the last 2 years of being here, I don't believe it. I believe it especially in this town, because I don't see centralized power doing a very good job. That's just a philosophy. I mean, I take it all the way down to the Fed, all the way down to our HOA.
Mhm.
And then as far as fixing roads, that would be a whole different conversation, given that our HOA just spent $10,000 to fix our roads. And I went from one big pothole on the road across the street where I didn't drive to now I have 8 of them right in front of my house to where I do drive. And I'll leave that open for however you want to take it.
Okay, so, any further discussion on that area?
That was our fix.
Okay, so we'll move right along then.
So this one doesn't need a motion or anything?
It doesn't need a motion because it's just a discussion. Okay, okay, so the next thing on our thing is we need to sign up for our yearly membership for the Texas EDC. And what I'd like to do is pass around, I'm going to go ahead and pay for all the memberships through the EDC monies. What I need you to do is sign your name, your email address, and if you currently have a password for your account there, come see me after the meeting and I'll privately put it on this sheet so that we can get into your account, okay?
Because you have to get your
Because we have
individualized
to,
account.
we have to have your password to be able to get an account to sign you up. Okay, so that.
But is it necessary that all of us be a member of it?
Yes,
It is.
When you signed up.
it is, according to the
It's credentialing, right?
credentialing, it's credentialing,
Public can do.
is what it is.
I don't know.
Which is good.
Public.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it, but it's good.
Yeah. And with that also, will come that, anyone who's not taken the sales tax workshop, the next one that's close to us will be in Tyler, and I have to go refresh, so I'm going to take my van. If anyone wants to go to that one, we will
Perfect.
go together
Perfect.
in my van. It's a one-day thing that we have to do for
Put
ourselves.
me down whenever you're ready. I'm ready.
Okay, good.
It's not the same weekend as the eclipse stuff, is it?
No,
Okay.
no, it's not.
Okay.
We're gonna do the
Or the
eclipse
super-
thing.
Okay.
I have a bunch of people coming for the eclipse thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so, so basically I needed a motion for us to sign up.
I make a motion that everybody on the board gets signed up for the new membership on the Texas Economic Development Corporation from the state.
Second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay. And then, next thing on there is, since Harry resigned, we have new board members. We need to, we need to elect new officers. So, I guess first what we need to do is, do I have some nominations for president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. Currently, we have myself as president and Kathy as treasurer, right?
In the secretary, we've gotten rid of that because we have.
Yeah, so we're really not doing secretary.
Right.
Okay, so here's some nominations then.
I would say you stay as president.
Vice president
I would
nominations.
say Larry, vice president.
Who?
Want
You.
to be vice president?
Vice president? Yeah, vice president I would go for.
Larry for vice president. Any other nominations?
Kathy is treasurer. She's been doing
Catherine, right? Treasurer.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Any other nominations? Okay, so I guess we need to vote on that. You make a motion and vote.
So we'll make a motion to elect new officers. Larry as the vice president, Kathy as the treasurer, continuing Pam as the president of EDC here.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Then after that, we need to take action on who is going to sign the checks at the bank. Currently, Kathy and I are signing checks, but we need one other person on that signing.
Vice president.
Just let me know and I'll meet you or whatever. No question.
Would you fill that out for me, please? Okay.
So I make a motion that we have Larry be added to the signing card for the bank.
Okay, and Harry taking off.
Yes, and Harry taking it.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, so the other thing we wanted to discuss was, when the ED can assist with road repairs and when it cannot.
I'm sorry.
Road repairs and when it cannot. And the reason I'm going over this is because we're gonna talk about a grant here in just a minute. We need to be real clear on this part of it. Okay, so EDCs are very strongly limited on what they can do for infrastructure. Roads are considered infrastructure. We can give a loan to a city to use it on roads, and we've done so in the past. In fact, they're paying us back on their loan that we gave them before. We cannot forgive that loan, because that would be considered giving the money to the city for the roads, and we cannot give them money for roads. We can only loan them money for roads. So we can't forgive their current loan. A lot of people have asked if we could forgive that. Sorry, we cannot. We can provide money for streets, roads, and drainage if they're related or leading directly to a new business. In other words, the infrastructures must benefit property acquired for a project having another primary purpose or business before we can fund them. Infrastructures can be considered a project provided the board of directors of an industrial development corporation finds that the expenditure is required or suitable for infrastructure necessary to promote or develop new or expanded business enterprises. So
This is gonna get ugly.
So in small talk, basically that means that if that road is going directly to a business and it's a new business going up and they need that road to build a business, we can help with some of the funding.
They have to be a new business.
They have to be a new business or an existing business that does not have any access to it. Okay, for some other reason. So it's a really tight thing because it's sales tax money. And sales tax money, they watch like a hawk. And so we have to be really careful with that. So at this time, I don't think we have any projects going that we could assist with roads.
And when we speak about new roads, are we talking about just fixing, re-asphalting, creating new roads?
Creating new roads is what they're basically saying the state is allowing you to do.
Okay.
But not
Just
fixing any road.
So for creation of new infrastructure.
Like creation of a new business.
So like Rockwall has it really great because Rockwall, what they did was they took several acres of land and they put roads in it. And they said it was an industrial park. And so their EDC paid for most of the roads that went in that industrial park. If we had an area here that we wanted to create an industrial park, the EDC would be able to help with that. Now, granted, our budget is so small and the cost of roads is so high that I don't think that we would ever really be in the position to build roads. But definitely the state will not allow us to fix roads.
Don't worry about it.
So any further discussion on that?
Well, just one, which is a statement I bring up a lot,
Don't worry about it.
is that, of course,
Yeah,
I am unfortunately quite often a results-oriented person.
Right.
And when this got to be a discussion with our HOA, I was like going, why are we doing it this way? One, we shouldn't be paying for it at all. Two, okay, I understand we have the need and we're gonna do it, let's do it right. But looking at Rolls, I mean, the road in the park is trash. It was great a year ago, and now it's completely falling apart. And the repairs they put on it are worse than when it started. We just got done spending $10,000 in our neighborhood. And I was worried, and I was a bit upset. It's like, why are we doing this without creating the proper rubber walk-off so that this Band-Aid can last? Well, we haven't even gotten to the rainy season yet, and we haven't had the water runoff, but the rain alone has, again, made my road, or my section of the road, way worse than when it started. So I think when we talk about cost, it's not really just a cost of what the city's gonna say, this is what we think it is. No, I think it's gonna be about double that because we're really not putting in the proper expenses to make sure it's done correctly. That's going to last. So it just brings up a really, really nasty can of worms.
It does. But we,
just so you know, I answered that because it was Elizabeth.
oh, okay,
And she said she had a training class tonight. She couldn't get here.
okay. That's
She
the
had
reason
called.
she's not here. That's okay. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so just because we're on the topic of what we can do for the roads, and I know we're not getting to the raise grant until next, but I did want to make a point to say that the NLC is holding a series of free federal grant boot camps that will help Texas cities take advantage of federal grants for infrastructure improvements and the Jobs Act and Inflation Reduction Act. One of those boot camps is the Safe Streets and Roads for All, SS4A grant program to prevent roadway fatalities and improve and enhance roadway safety measures in rural marginalized communities. In light of recent tragedies, I think that that's something that we should look into and get with the city hall to make sure that that's something, because our roads are so dark at night, so dark. And I know that family is grieving, so I don't want that to happen anymore.
Maze Lane is just horrible. When
Yes.
we're going down there, through there at night, there's people walking.
Yes.
on it.
Yeah.
And then second, they have one of interest would be the federal infrastructure bill update, updating on resources for Texas cities on how to access, I think it's IJA, I could be wrong, it could be LJA, but funding for local infrastructure projects. And, yeah, so those are something that we could look into to get with the city hall on maybe getting something going for those.
And where's the boot camp?
They are held, they're starting this month, actually. I'm not exactly sure where they're held. I'll have to look that up. But I just know that it is through the NLC. I don't know if those are things that are.
What's the
on-
LC?
Don't ask me that. I didn't write that part down. I just said it LC. But yeah, it's a government site. Yes, there you go.
What is it?
That's exactly it.
National League of Cities.
National League of Cities, yes.
FEC donated some lights. They're right at the end of our road on Maze Lane. That was been about 4 years ago. I wonder if they would donate some more on Maze Lane.
It would be great to find out.
But I just thought I would go, since we were on the topics of helping with roads, then we should get with the city hall and see if we can get somebody to go into those boot camps.
Yes. I actually did one last year on roads for rural cities. It was a webinar, actually,
That's what I'm thinking these are.
and it was really very good. But it's,
Since you're talking about grants, if there's any grant to bring natural gas here,
I wish.
I'll look.
Yeah.
I will have to look.
Somebody did,
I wish.
I think somebody did a study on it, and the amount was incredible.
$7 million.
Yeah. I want to talk about electricity.
Yeah, okay, so we need to move along. There's no action needed to be taken on that. Okay, the raise grant. Okay. In your packet, there is a synopsis of the raise grant, what it is and what it does. And I want you to know that that's a synopsis of this many pages.
It's like, I think 81 pages long.
Yeah, 81 pages. I tried to kind of go. The RAISE grant is a grant to assist with infrastructure. It is provided by the U.S. Department of Transportation, and it's awarded on a competitive basis. And it's for not only the construction, but the planning and construction of transportation infrastructure projects that improve safety, environmental sustainability, quality of life, mobility and community connectivity, economic competitiveness and opportunity, including tourism, state of good repair, partnership and collaboration, and innovation. So in other words, we could apply for the RAISE grant because it does help with the economic competitiveness and the opportunities and things like that. The only problem I see with it is that we would not be able to actually do the construction or anything like that. We couldn't actually pay for that, but we could possibly hire someone to help us write the grant and to apply for the grant to help the city get that.
Does the city have to apply for it, or can we?
We can apply for it.
But we would have to have our shares, the non-federal shares, which I was reading, and I don't know if you were able to go over all of the information, but there are some ways in there that they can count out the non-federal shares. But that would still be a great big chunk for us. We wouldn't be able to fund that. So that's why she's suggesting that we would go through the city, because they would have more funding available than we would for that.
Can we do both?
It's per city. I'm not
Per
sure if it's per entity,
city.
yeah. But I do know that we do qualify through the poverty rate, because we do have the high poverty rate. Right now, we're sitting at 20.6% poverty rate. And that's, we only have 2,000 people here. That's
It's a high
That's-
poverty rate.
it's like 400 people,
Yeah.
over 400 people.
There are several aspects of it that we would qualify for.
Yes.
And we would qualify up to $1 million or 80% of the cost of the project.
Right.
Which I could easily see us use the $1 million of it.
Yeah.
Very easily. This helps for highway and bridge projects, transportation projects, passenger and freight rail transportation projects, port infrastructure, surface transportation components of an airport, intermodal projects. These components are eligible project types. Project to replace or rehabilitate a culvert or prevent stormwater runoff for the purpose of improving habitat for aquatic species while advancing goals of the RACE project. That I would love to see
Yes.
get hit, because that would be our drainage problems that we
Right.
got.
And that was my other suggestion, is that if we didn't do it just for the roads, then we could at least do it for the drainage, and because that wouldn't be quite as costly. And then the shares that we would have to have would not be as much.
So, anyway, I'd like y'all to look over kind of the synopsis there, see if that's something that we want to pursue. Obviously, we can't get it in by the date of February 28th this year, but looking at next year. So I'd like your discussion on that and see what you think about us possibly pursuing that grant.
The reason we wouldn't be able to get it in by February 28th, even though we're in the beginning of February, is because there's a lot of research you have to do. The application for the grant is like pages and pages and pages long. It's not just like a one sheet, fill out some information and you're done. You have to provide so many things. You have to provide studies for the roads. You have to, or for the drainage, whichever one you're trying to go after, or both, whatever. You have to provide research on all kinds of topics. You have to provide them all the statistics as far as your poverty rate, your housing rates, your owned houses, your rent houses, and families, the family structures of them. I mean, it's not just a simple thing. So, but definitely we could be able to do it by the January of next year, hopefully. And that is the last year that it would be done.
What if we fill it out? There may be some missing things. Send it in without spending a lot of money,
They'll reject.
just in case. We don't know.
It
Just in
tells
case they
you
don't
in
have
there.
enough.
It tells you in there, if you don't have everything, you're automatically rejected, because there is it's a competitive. So if you don't have every duck in a row, then they automatically reject you, unfortunately. I read every 81
Is the
pages.
city working on this currently?
Not as far as I know.
We're going to be doing it next year. So when do we have to start?
Well, apparently,
Well, actually.
2 years in advance, since we were talking about applying for all grants in the city last year already, and we're still not hitting it again.
I feel like what we need to do is we need to find us a grant writer and ask them specifically to look into this grant. And we need to start that very soon. It will take probably a full
year.
at least 9-10 months of them working on it to get it.
Well,
Last
based
time
on
we were-
those videos we watched, of the companies that wanted to do grants for us, that never went anywhere.
Mhm.
But we talked about somebody that was referred to it,
Mhm.
and everybody seemed a little more open to that, so.
Yeah.
We need to go that direction, still hiring a company.
I agree.
I know the last time the city was talking about developing the can't remember the name of it, not the confirmation plan, the
Comprehensive.
comprehensive, thank you. They were talking about how they might get someone from one of the local colleges to help develop that, and it seemed like a pretty good idea, and maybe it's a similar resource.
I talked to, my contacts over there at University of Commerce, and they said they don't have anyone that does that right now.
Which may be good if it's a 9-month thing to get done, you probably want to make sure you get it done right.
Allison.
Well, I think without putting this to table or anything else, I mean, since it does sound like this really is an ownable object by the city, do we present it to them and find out where they're going with it, or do we forge ahead on our own? Is that what's on the table here that we're gonna?
It's however way you want to do it. If you want us to go to the city first and say, hey, look, we want you to try to do this, and offer, maybe to help. What they've done, what our city has done with every grant they've gotten so far is they have taken part of the grant money to pay the person that did the grant services for us. And we could still do that, It's just a matter, is this something we want to take on as an EDC, or is this something we want the city to take on?
But this is for the city, right? You're doing it for the city, so I think we should at least ask them, do you want it?
Well, I think it's gonna boil down to the funding. If we can't, I'll look it over some more and see how much of it I can find non-federal shares covered. And if it gets down to, nothing, then sure, why not? We could do that. But I just don't see it being that low of a cost at the moment.
It's going to cost something for it to do it.
Exactly.
And, what I would like to see happen is them develop a project through the city, and what they would have normally spent on that project, instead turning it into their share of the grant.
Right.
And do the grant is what I'd really like to see happen.
Sounds reasonable.
We should still talk to them and say, okay, what if you do all this work and city says, well, we're not going to spend any money.
So the other option is to go for at least the drainage, because then we're eliminating a bigger problem that is causing the road issues, and it's not going to be near as expensive as the roads. And I know that there's a lot of problems with drainage. Every ditch in this city is not draining anywhere. In fact, my culvert was filled in with dirt all the way to the road level last year. And so now it's just flooded.
You don't need a road crew. You don't need public works out here doing the road.
I agree with you, but, that has to come through.
I understand. I'm just stating my opinion.
I agree.
So my suggestion would be to at least go for the drainage, at the very least. We could write it. And that doesn't mean that, it does actually say in there, we can submit 2 applications. I don't know that they can be from separate entities, but we can submit 2. So we can submit for the roads and submit for the drainage instead of putting them together, and then find out what the cost would be for those and go like that. See which one, because you don't have, if you are accepted, you do not have to do it. So it's not like if we say, oh, we got selected and now we don't have money.
But we'll be spending money though to do that much, right?
Depending on how you do it. The application is not one that has to be done through a grant writer. However, it's better because they know exactly what they're doing and what needs to be said and everything. And with it being a competitive grant, it would make more sense for it to be done by a grant writer. But usually you can get under $1,500 to $2,000 at the very most for a grant writer. And that doesn't mean we have to do just this grant with that person either. That's usually somebody coming in that'll look at whatever you can do all at once. So there's also the other grants that we were talking about, the Jobs
I was
Act
gonna say.
one.
So that's actually a good point. So if we would hire someone like a grant writer, we wouldn't necessarily be looking at one specific grant, but having them take a look at everything, that makes it even
Correct.
better low hanging fruit.
Right.
We do have in our budget money for grants, for us to
Yeah.
pay for grants.
Well, then, without getting into an actual motion, I mean, it sounds like we should at least ping the city.
Right.
And then kind of give them a breakdown of the pro and cons of it, and then make some suggestions. But if they're not gonna take it up, then we should just do it anyways.
Oh, yes, the EDC guy we met from Terrell.
He's no longer there. He has moved on to bigger and better. He
He
is now
has.
at the state level.
Yeah.
He's
Ray
gone,
Dunn.
like they're hiring for his position over there right now.
Wow.
I'm so sad. I went to go talk to him and yeah.
Well, he answered the phone for me. I've got his number.
Yeah.
Do you, he maybe you have his cell phone number.
Yeah, he's got.
I mean, he's a good guy.
I know. If he knows, he'll tell us.
And plus he's at the state level now, so that is a very good contact for us to have. But as far as for this goes, I would make a motion that we do look into hiring a grant writer to get these grants going.
Do I have a second on that?
Because if we wait around,
I'll
it's
make
not gonna happen.
a second.
Okay, all in favor?
No.
It's real quickly, as a note to that, does that include pinging the city and seeing what involvement they want to partake in?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
we
But this is
So-
just so that we can go with that option.
Okay, so we have to, if we are going to
We're
be
bringing
talking
it
to
to
this, if you're gonna do anything for anybody, just
Yeah.
ask them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the first thing we have to do.
Yes,
Just ask them, they might say, oh, this is a great idea, well, we're all in.
Right.
Or they might say, no, we're not interested. I think if you're gonna do that, then it's an yes from me. If you don't do it, then it's a no.
Gotcha. Yeah, we will talk to the city first.
Yeah.
I'll get on that first thing. This-
And get them on the record.
So that will be hard to get on the record,
Mhm.
but I will talk to the city this week and see where we can go with that. And then I'll start getting some names of grant writers for us to look at. Okay. So that's the raise grant. Okay, now we give businesses and money to different people. So I wanted to talk about the simple form right here that you've got in your packet. And I think what we need to do is anybody that wants to come and get money from us from now on, we need them to fill this out to start with, okay? And y'all had a chance to look at it.
And I do have another suggestion. I know this is more like for me side of it. There is a really good application for loans and grants from, I got off of the Texas CDC website, template. So if we could incorporate that in sometime too, that'd be great. Like this one
This
to
is just
me
the
is more for
starting.
our side, like,
Yeah, this is just our starting
right, yeah.
point on this one. And yes, I do want to get a more detailed one
Yeah.
for. But,
Something is going on nothing.
Yes.
so, y'all look over that and then, we'll,
I make a motion that we start using that form for anybody that's trying to get any type of assistance.
I second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, so the last thing in new business. First of all, I want to apologize to everyone for the last several months. I have not been really doing a lot with EDC. As you know, my grandson died in December, and the month before he was really, really sick. And so I just have not been able to really do things like I normally do. And I realized that taking on this project for our building on 276 is just overwhelming for me. So what I would like to do is, I'd like to kind of set up a committee to start working on that building, and I'd kind of like to not be on that committee. You know, because I'm just overwhelmed with trying to talk to investors and trying to talk to other people and trying to get going on what we're doing in here. And so I'd like some input from you guys about it.
I think that's a good idea because last time when we were all there, I think, if we're all there, it might create the meeting, what's it called?
Well, see,
Code of
even if
conduct.
we have 3 there, we're going to have to post
A quorum.
a quorum. And we can do that anytime that the committee gets together and wants to discuss that. We can post a quorum, you know.
If there are
That was a fluky thing because I had mentioned it to someone that we needed a notice of quorum and it didn't get done. And they didn't realize what I was telling them.
Yeah.
At the time. So, we don't want that to happen again, you know. So we just need to say that the committee will meet, you know, at certain times and discuss this and that it will be a quorum there for it.
So if there are 3, we need
Mhm.
okay.
Might I also suggest for situations like this, most EDCs have their board. They also have,
Subcommittee.
well, their officers are actually not the board.
Yeah.
They're separate because they have enough people, right? So their president and all that take care of the day-to-day operations.
Yes.
The board just comes to the board meeting, gets their information from the officers and does their thing. So it might be a suggestion, instead of calling it a committee, we can make them non-paid officers. That way they can come in and do their day-to-day, whatever they need to have done without it being an issue on quorums and all of that. It wouldn't be discussing with us.
Mhm. Now,
Right.
I don't know how we would get that done when we don't have an office to go to right now.
Right, because of last month, or last week, was it last week or the week before? I ran into a situation where I was trying to meet with a couple that are looking to come to West Tawakoni for business.
Mhm.
And I had to come here, and it wasn't just me in the room. So that kind of,
Mhm.
they don't like that very much when they're talking investments and stuff.
Yes, yes. And that's something I've ran into also.
Yeah.
Is,
So you're suggesting we get some other people, volunteers?
Volunteers that are officers instead of board members. That way, we still don't have to pay them.
Right.
Because we can't, we don't have the funds for all that. But they can do the day-to-day operations on taking care of things that
We
the
could-
board decides.
one
Like
of
if
the-
they say that they need to have things done, they bring that to the board. The board then can decide on that. But it doesn't have anything to do with us discussing business outside of this meeting.
Can one of the officers be in this?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have one person
So
of
that way he knows.
the officers in charge of the volunteer group to work on it.
I think that's a good idea.
That would work very well.
It'd just be, we need y'all to come up here and volunteer
Yeah.
for no money, like we do, to help us out.
And if you're in construction, this would be really good because you could tell us what we need to do for that building.
Come on. And you can very easily sign up on the website at westwalkmeedc.com. You can send us the contact form and it will send right over to me. I get it on my phone now, so I'll know.
Absolutely. Okay. So I guess we need a motion to set that in motion.
I make a motion that instead of forming a committee to develop just the plans for the building down there.
Yeah.
That we instead get volunteers for officers that are non-paid that can come in and do day-to-day operations without it breaking quorum rules.
That's seconded.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
We're gonna have to kind of define that a little bit better though. of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
it'll be better.
One of the other things that we will need to do then is, as we're going to do it that way, is we'll need to put a officer in charge of that. Do I
That would
have
be
it?
good, better, so they'll know exactly what we need.
Okay, so do I have a volunteer, James?
I'm volunteering.
Would you volunteer? to
And
be
I'll
the
back them up.
Okay, that would work.
I'll back you up.
Okay, so can I get a motion on the floor then?
I'll make a motion that James is the first officer to start that, and that Rhett would be a backup, but they cannot meet at the same time.
Well, two of them.
Oh, two can,
Two.
oh, because it takes three, my bad.
It's just not four.
So we'll have, let me rephrase my motion here. I make a motion that James and Rhett are the officers to be over the new volunteers that are gonna be coming in through the door, a lot of them, to form this non-paid committee, or non-paid officers position. Yeah. I make a motion for James and Rhett to be the first officers on the non-paid officers positions.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that works very well for me. Okay, we're finally down to old business. And we're gonna talk about the sign for the EDC building. I know Rhett's been looking into that for us.
Yeah, I apologize. I had all this printed out. I don't know where I put it. I was already, at the last minute, of course, I was already last month. So this, really what I'm presenting is more detailed information than I provided last time, because first I was just kind of pinging it.
Mhm.
But now, and this is also gonna get into, because when I was talking, and that's how I found out about this quorum problem. I said, well, how about I just draft an email and tell everyone what's going on so I can get some feedback and get it going? She's like, no, you gotta wait till next month. I was like, oh, this is gonna be slow.
Yeah. I mean, this is one thing that I really hate about government is this thing where you can't get together in between so that you could get things moving faster. Everything takes a month at a time.
So with that in mind, there is, so I'll go through the details, but then I'll come up to where I guess the stopgap is, right? Because you need more input before we can move further. But to go along, so I actually did a lot of different searches. I went with the one I still went with last, I did an investigation on my own. Then I talked to a professional who also gave me more information. And that professional ended up being the American Legion. Great guy there. I don't know, what was it? Gary? Greg. And he's actually been in IT for 30 years as a procurement officer. So he's used to it. And he said, Brett, I even looked for a year before I finally made a decision because we had no money. So, but I actually went and let these guys out. And these guys have like the best reputation like in the country. That's why they do such a huge volume. And they actually have one in, I can't figure it, either Michigan, and they also have one in Dallas. So they have Dallas support right here. They were rated by far the highest in all the reviews on their support. There's all of their equipment and the way you actually enter in the sign information and all that kind of stuff. It's all proprietary, it's all supported, and they've been in business for over 20 years. Much better than anything else I can find out there. I mean, I did small business stuff on Amazon and eBay too, and their two closest competition, which was Boost Displays, HR, and so forth. And nobody can beat their prices, or even one of the big things is I don't know if people are familiar with Lux and Lumens, but they have the brightest LEDs out of their competition. So, a lot of that, we start thinking about signage. It's like, can I see it? I mean, can I get the message out there, right? And actually, I did a little bit of math and actually looking at and staying in budget. I was told maximum 10K is the size, and it's actually what American Legion prepped for. They got an 85-inch, which looks pretty decent. But a 102 would look a lot better. And that's actually what they actually have their post designed to be able to fit. So they got some free space that they were looking to grow as well. I would suggest that, and again, whatever post size we can make it for 120 and then not fill it.
Mhm.
But in case I have the quotes here, the big thing to kind of know here is that, well, for me as an IT guy, I was kind of thinking a single point of failure because you start getting the stuff through, you can hook it up wirelessly and through the network. So I got 3 different codes for each one, the 86 and the 102. Short story is, when you look at the price, the total price for the 102 with Wi-Fi is $8,070. And then just using the keyboard, which is ran through USB directly to this. So you're kind of taking simplicity, right? You're removing some of the cool stuff you can do, and inconvenience of a PC. But you're going to have somebody who knows how to do that all the time. But you're also increasing the complexity because there's more. The more you add to it, the more you can screw it up. Plain and simple words.
Yeah.
Now, I think there's probably a couple of us here who are pretty familiar with PCs and this kind of stuff. You wouldn't have a problem with it. But nevertheless, I've been in lots of situations where I give somebody advice on technology, but then I'm not there to support it, so it doesn't really work for them. So you really want to keep in mind, you really want to keep it as simple as possible. So it's 8,600 just for the signage, okay? And that was to get the Wi-Fi. It would drop $400 if you go down to just Cat 5. And when we're talking to this new committee and we're going to get that building up today, it's pretty easy to drop some Cat 5 all the way to where we're going to put the signage, which I don't know. I've driven around a few times. I guess where I think we would put the sign, but I don't know. So that's one thing we need an answer on. Where do we want to place the sign? The second part would be, because I can't get a quote for how we're going to post in and hold the signs until I know which sign we're going to get. But as a vague, and just making sure we're staying in budget, the fire department got theirs done, which is much larger, made of much thicker steel than we would need for under 2K. So I'm figuring, the maximum would be for us probably around 14. Then we'll put a little brick around it, kind of dress it up. I'm thinking still, no matter what, we're still under budget. And that's actually, if you go to the 102, and again, I was talking the 86-inch last time. So the 102 with just the keyboard and remoting and be able to type it in is $7,170. The 85-inch is $6,370. So there's about an $800 increase on making that jump up. But also, if you actually do the math and you look at price per pixel, you actually get a little discount. Not when you go up to 120, you actually go up to a higher amount again. So I don't know, it's right there in that weird range.
Are these 6 or 8? And
What's that?
the clarity of it, they have 6, 8, and 12. And of course, it goes in reverse. So 6 is going to be your better.
As far as brightness goes?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think at 7,000 lux, what they little put out, I don't know what the actual LEDs were, but I can find out. Would you say they were in measurements of what?
MM.
Never
Yeah.
heard of that one. I'm a computer guy. I'm learning about science.
Yeah.
Lumens is what matters, right?
Lumens is what the human eye sees. Lux is the actual power put out by the generation of the light.
So we're gonna have to discuss a parking lot before we can decide where to put the sign, I think.
I'm sorry. I just have, my input on the sign thing is that we should finish the building first. Not
I
hatch our
agree.
eggs before they're even incubated.
I agree.
Or we include that as a part, as a subline item into the building. If it's that important. Personally, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to develop an ROI on signage. Return on investment.
I mean, it's really not. If there's like we were gonna do for the advertising on the businesses and stuff, there would be a reason to do that. But I just feel like we should wait until after we have everything complete for the building and that we know who else is gonna be using it and if we're, you know, how much of it we're gonna be using, because what if we decide we're not using it at all? Then, you know, we have our sign there, but yeah. we're
Well,
not
isn't
there.
part of the messaging to have to do, not just for EDC,
No, it's for businesses.
okay,
Yes.
all right, and the city itself and whatever.
Right, exactly. So there is
Which
a
would
point
be
to
like-
having the sign there,
Right.
but I just feel like we should do one thing at a time to get them, you know, if you get too much going on at one time.
No, I hear you. And this technology's been around for a long time. The good news is, even if we stepped up and got better signs, 3 to 5 years down the road, I did go to eBay and these things are reselling still at 5 years old at about 80% of what they cost originally. So it's a very good,
Possibility we can get some.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we want to table this until a later date? Do we want to, what do we want to do with this?
I think she's right. I think we should table it and get an overall better idea of exactly what's going on with the building and what the actual ROI, I mean, everything's
I
going.
make a motion that we table the sign until after the completion of the building.
Do I have a second on this? Okay, that was James. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
You guys overlook at my pretty pictures?
Okay, so,
That's good price.
Yeah.
It's really good. I
Okay.
was expecting a lot more.
yeah, it's a good price,
You
good
can
price.
get a nice LED.
All right, so the other thing is, discuss and take action on business of the month.
It's not really going anywhere.
It's actually.
So, do we have a business of the month we want to highlight? 'Cause
Did we ever finish up with Dale's?
they never got
They
back
never
with
got
me.
back.
And then Larry went and saw, down a pizza place to see about them possibly doing it, and they never could get anything from them either, so I don't know. I want to see that happen, you know, with somebody.
Well, I'm going to the new tire place tomorrow.
The new one?
The
The,
new tire place.
the one right here across
Your
from
fireplace?
Dollar,
Yeah,
or in the old
the old red barn.
drive-through, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
So you want to talk to them if they would like to get some free advertising?
And I will also talk to Griggs.
Yeah.
Because I know at one point they had reached out to me, so I will see about if they want it, because they said they could use all the help they can get with advertisements, so Griggs Mechanical.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
okay, so why don't, if each one of you will reach out to them, and then, what we'll do is,
Greg's Mechanical would be a good one.
yeah,
I'll go over there tomorrow.
if we can get it, we'll start with them, and then at the following, and if we get response from them, we'll go ahead and start with them this month, and then have the tire place next month if we get response from them.
So I'll make a motion that we start with Griggs Mechanical and then go to the Quinlan Tire Shop that is in actually West Tawakoni, for the business of the month, to go on the website as far as their stores and the backgrounds.
What's the name of it?
It's Griggs, G-R-I,
GGS.
yes. GGS, Mechanical.
Okay. Okay.
And then the other one is Quinlan Tire Shop. I think it's Quinlan Tire Shop 2, because they have one in Quinlan. This is the number 2.
Wish they'd name it West Tawakoni.
I know.
Okay, all right, so, we need to go to executive session for anything?
I would like to go.
Okay, so, we will now, is 8:42, we're gonna go back for executive session to discuss,
It won't be real long.
real property. Okay.
if you need any help or anything, or you need anything on the building, just let me know and I'll meet you anytime like that. And then I got a couple of contractors that just finished that building, over at the insurance company. Over there, yeah, it's the same type of building, yeah. Okay? You take a look, you can go take a look. Did you look over there? I don't know. Okay. Oh, Bill Marsh's bill. Yeah.
Gotta jump on the bandwagon.
That's the same one that runs it over there in the mall.
Yeah.
Next to the store.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, because I heard her talking the other day.
Well, yeah. Yeah, and my husband tells me, I probably be out of all this city stuff and open the lunch shop. Right, good budge.
What about Minnesota?
That lot is supposed to be.
What is this?
Yeah, so there's big. But when I was More update.
Yes.
Okay, more update on it.
Yes.
Okay.
There was a driver transfer here.
Got her. And Lisa Arnold is the last season. So whenever it died, the city would not accept that plan. So it's still staying with that. But because of the way it was, and it kept doing taxes, it never would have. It was never intended that. At all. So what they've done is they go back in there and what we found out last week, if they've gotten back and reestablished what was there originally, that code would, that would do away with taxes. Because at one point,
With the phone call.
Oh, no.
Back home, I'd be there in 5 or 10 minutes.
Are you, going
back on.
going right on?
Okay, the time is
You are.
8:56. Coming back to our regular meeting. No action was taken in executive session. So the,
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
the second of that,
Yes.
all in favor?
Right.
Aye.
You know where,
Kathy and Larry are in favor too.
not
2 hours today.
51.
So I am
Down by the bridge where
What's
General
it,
Dollar is.
Yeah.
Right around the corner. And I don't pay
Anyway.
can. And I'm scared to drive without the lights in the back.
I've got stuff back.
Okay, thanks. We're adjourned. Bye-bye.
I'll follow you, you can follow, I'll drive first. Thanks a lot. I
Sylvia, you're welcome.
appreciate it.
Sylvia, apparently it didn't get muted.
Well, they hear everything.